My family had always called me the unwanted daughter, and at my perfect sister's divorce trial, they seated me in the last row. I stayed quiet, but when the judge opened the file, she stopped and whispered, "Wait, you're her real lawyer?" The entire courtroom froze. Last row, Ava. My mother said it in the courthouse hallway as if I were not even an invited guest. She had a beige purse on her arm, pearls around her neck, and the same expression she wore to church, charity luncheons and family funerals. Controlled. Pulled. Clean. My sister Madison's divorce trial was that morning. The perfect daughter of the family. 38 years old. Blonde hair, a pressed coat, a straight back, and that special talent for carrying pain the way other women carry a designer outfit. I was 34. Navy suit, low heels, laptop bag, and the label my family had glued to me since childhood. Unwanted daughter. Dad checked his watch and said, "Ava, don't make a scene today." "I didn't come here to make a scene," I said. Mom glanced toward the front rows inside the courtroom. "Good. Then sit in the last row. The first rows are for family." I looked at her. "I am family." She didn't smile. "Don't make this harder." Madison was already seated at the plaintiff's table. Beside her sat Charles Whitman, the family's favorite lawyer. Over 60, silver hair, smooth voice, and the kind of man my father always called Charlie at dinner, as if they had built the world together. On the other side sat Madison's husband, Grant Ellis, with his lawyer, Denise. Navy tie. Calm face. Fake calm. I walked to the last row and sat down. Near the door. Where unwanted people get seated. Judge Parker entered. Everyone rose. I rose too. The judge sat, opened the file, read the first page, then the second. Her hand stopped. She lowered her glasses slightly and scanned the courtroom. Then her eyes landed on me. "Wait. Just one word." The whole courtroom went still. The judge looked back at the file. "Ms. Ava Miller." I stood. "Yes, Your Honor." She said, "You're her real lawyer?" The entire courtroom froze. My mother's mouth fell open. My father turned sharply toward me. Grant's smile disappeared. Madison closed her eyes as if the secret had finally stepped into the light. I walked down the aisle to the front table, set down my bag and said calmly, "Yes, Your Honor. The substitution of counsel was filed yesterday at 4:41 p.m. Charles was on his feet immediately. "There's been a misunderstanding." Judge Parker looked at him. "No, Mr. Whitman. I think the misunderstanding may be yours. The filing is valid. Signed by Ms. Madison Ellis." My mother blurted out far too loudly, "Ava is not the family lawyer." The judge's voice stayed flat. "One more interruption, ma'am, and you can wait outside." Mom sat down, but her neck had gone red. I pulled out my chair and sat beside Madison, and for the first time that morning my sister looked directly at me. Her eyes were not swollen. She had not cried before coming to court. Perfect daughters do not show up with ruined mascara. But her fingers were shaking. I slid a pen toward her. "Breathe." Grant whispered to his lawyer, "What the hell?" Denise flipped through her file. One look at her face told me she had not been warned about this. Judge Parker said, "Ms. Miller, are you prepared to proceed?" "Yes, Your Honor." Charles tried again. "This is inappropriate. Ava has a personal history here." Without even turning to look at him, I said, "And you have a financial one." That shut him up. My mother leaned toward my father and hissed, "Stop this." For the first time in his life he didn't. That scene started in court that morning, but the real story had begun 3 weeks earlier. Madison had called me on a Tuesday night from an unknown number. I was sitting late in my Denver office, surrounded by open case files. My coffee had gone cold. I ignored the first call. Then the voicemail came through. "Ava, please pick up. Don't tell Mom. Don't tell Dad." I called back immediately. She answered, but for a few seconds all I heard was breathing. "Madison. I need help," she said. I straightened in my chair. "With what?" "Grant. The divorce. The kids. Everything. You have Charles." She went quiet. Then she said, "Charles is not my lawyer. He's Dad's lawyer wearing my case." The next day she came to my office. Baseball cap. No makeup. A plastic grocery bag in her hand. And a face that looked like it had not slept properly in 2 weeks. Inside that bag were bank statements, printed emails, screenshots, and the children's drawings. Lilyton. Noah 7. I reached in and pulled out the papers one by one. joint account withdrawals, credit card debt, home equity line, college fund transfers. Did Grant explain any of this? I asked. Madison let out a short, empty laugh. He says I'm emotional. And Charles? He says judges hate emotional women. I glanced at her wrist. There was a bruise there. How did that happen? Cabinet door, she said too quickly. I didn't say anything. She got irritated. Don't look at me like that. Like what? Like you're building a case. I closed the file. I am. She leaned back in her chair. Mom says if I fight ugly everyone will know. Know what? That my marriage wasn't perfect. I almost laughed. Madison, your husband moved your children's college money. She looked down. I know. And your mother is on whose side exactly? Madison didn't answer. I asked again. Madison. She finally said, Grant calls her more than he calls me. That told me enough. I didn't take the case right away. The truth was, my heart was not clean. Madison was the same sister who used to open my birthday presents with Mom before I got to them. The same sister who, after school plays, would say, Ava did fine, the way someone might review an exchange student trying her best. When I got into law school, she said at Thanksgiving, at least now she has a profession where arguing helps. Everyone laughed. I didn't. That day in my office I looked at her and asked, why me? She kept her eyes away from mine for a long time. Then she said quietly, because you're the only one Mom never controlled. I gave a humorless little smile. Wrong. She tried. For the first time Madison almost smiled back. Yeah. And you're the only one who bit back. I pulled the grocery bag toward me. Fine. Then no more lies. Full access. Phone, emails, group chat. Everything. She stiffened. The family chat too? Especially that. She unlocked her phone. The group chat was called Sunday Table. I wasn't in it. Of course I wasn't. I scrolled through the messages. Mom's texts. Dad's short replies. Grant's fake respectful language. Then my thumb stopped. Mom, don't let Ava near this. He turns everything into war. Grant, good. Madison folds under shame. Ava doesn't. Mom, leave Ava out. She was never meant to be in family decisions anyway. I stared at the screen. Madison said softly, I'm sorry. I did not hand the phone back. Save it. Then the investigation began. I did it the right way. A forensic accountant. Subpoenas prepared. Temporary motions drafted. Hidden accounts traced. Shell LLCs uncovered. And then we found the thing that changed the entire case. Grant had been paying Charles. At first it looked small. Consulting fees. Then the amounts got larger. The dates lined up perfectly with the weeks Charles was pushing Madison toward settlement. The same weeks my mother kept calling Madison and telling her, sign it quietly. I spread the documents across the conference table. Madison stared at them. No. Yes, I said. She stood up and started pacing my office. No. Charles wouldn't. Dad has known him for years. I placed the next page in front of her. Grant's company to Whitman Advisory. 6 payments. Undisclosed. She stopped moving. Does Mom know? She asked. I don't know yet, I said honestly. 5 minutes later I did. Then my forensic guy forwarded one more document. A reimbursement summary from Grant's assistant. One line was highlighted. Patricia Miller Foundation sponsorship approved per G. I looked at Madison. Your husband has also been paying your mother's foundation. She grabbed the back of a chair. For what? Not for charity, I said. She sat down slowly, carefully, like the floor underneath her had shifted. She sold me, she asked. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. By the time we walked into court on trial day, I already knew exactly where to put the knife. Judge Parker confirmed appearances. Then I raised the conflict issue. Denise shot to her feet. This is an ambush. No, I said. An ambush is when a husband hides marital funds, pays his wife's counsel, and uses donations to the mother-in-law's foundation to pressure a quiet settlement. The judge made a note in the file. Charles's face turned gray. Your Honor, I said, before we proceed on custody and asset allocation, I request that the court address counsel conflict and hear limited testimony. Judge Parker nodded. Proceed. My first witness was my mother. Patricia Miller, the bailiff called. She walked to the stand with her pearls still perfectly straight. She took the oath and sat down. Then she looked at me the way a woman looks at someone who has set fire to the living room rug. I stepped to the podium. Mrs. Miller, you are Madison's mother? Yes. You have a close relationship with Grant Ellis? He is the father of my grandchildren. That wasn't my question. Her posture tightened. Yes. Did you advise Madison to settle quietly? I advised her to protect her children. Did you tell her not to involve me? Yes. Why? Because you make everything worse. Define worse. Hostile. Public. Ugly. I put the group chat message on the screen. Leave Ava out. She was never meant to be in family decisions anyway. I asked, is that your message? She pressed her lips together. Yes. Did you say I was unwanted? Denise stood. Relevance. Bias and coercive family pressure, Your Honor, I said. Judge Parker did not even hesitate. Overruled. Answer the question. My mother looked at me for a long moment. Then she said, yes. No gasp. No cinematic outburst. Just raw silence. I moved to the next exhibit, the foundation payment summary. Mrs. Miller, did Grant Ellis make payments to your foundation? Donations. While you were pressuring your daughter to sign his settlement? They supported women's leadership programs. Did you disclose those payments to Madison? No. Did you disclose them to this court? No. At counsel table, Madison sat utterly still. Grant tightened his jaw. My father lowered his head in the front row. I asked my final question. Did you tell Madison that if she fought, she would embarrass the family? Yes. Did you care whether the settlement was fair? She looked straight ahead. Fair is expensive. A few people in the courtroom shifted in their seats. No further questions. At recess, the hallway felt hot and crowded. Voices bounced off the walls. Madison went to the restroom. Dad sat on a bench with both hands on his knees. Mom came after me. You think you've won something? She asked. I kept my eyes on the coffee machine. Not yet. You have always been jealous. Madison got the life you wanted. I turned and faced her. No. Madison got the life you trained her to perform. She stepped closer. You were difficult from day one. And I never wanted another child. The sentence came out of her mouth like she had finally put down a heavy box. I had Madison. He was enough. Then you happened. From the bench, Dad said, Patricia, stop. He didn't. I was tired. Broke. Angry. You were a mistake that stayed. I looked at her. Years. Decades. All boiled down to one ugly truth. Hey, I said. She blinked, almost thrown by my calm. She must have expected tears. Or screaming. Or begging. That's it, she asked. That explains a lot, I said. Madison came out of the restroom, and from the look on her face she had heard enough. Mom, she said, her voice flat, you didn't just hate Ava. Mom snapped, not now. No. Now, Madison said. You taught me to stay pretty and quiet so you could keep your picture frame clean. Mom reached toward her. Madison. Madison stepped back. Don't. Dad stood up at last. Patricia, we're leaving after court. She laughed. You do not get to grow a spine in your 70s and call it leadership. Dad said nothing. When court resumed, I called Grant. He walked to the stand with confidence. Took the oath. Sat down. Denise had painted him as a caring father. Financially responsible. Concerned. Predictable nonsense. I started with the children's college fund statements. Mr. Ellis, did you move money from your children's education accounts? It was temporary. To where? Investment opportunities. Which ones? Silence. I put up the next exhibit, one of his LLC transfers, made the same week as Aspen Resort charges. Did your children's funds help pay for this trip? It was reimbursed. By whom? No answer. Judge Parker said, answer the question. Grant clenched his teeth. Not yet. Then I struck again. Did you pay Charles Whitman while he was representing your wife? Denise objected immediately. I responded just as fast. Bank records, Your Honor. Overruled, the judge said. Grant swallowed. Consulting. On what? Business structure. During your divorce? Yes. Without disclosure? He said nothing. I put the final exhibit on the screen. A text message he had sent to my mother. Patricia, if Ava gets near this, we lose control. Keep Madison focused on family. I looked at him. Did you send that? He stayed silent. Judge Parker repeated the question more sharply this time. Did you send that? Yes, he said. Madison lowered her head. She did not cry. She just let out one long breath, like something poisonous had finally left her body. No further questions, I said. 3 hours later, the temporary orders were entered. Madison got exclusive possession of the house. There would be an emergency accounting review. The children's education funds were frozen and traced. Charles was removed and referred for ethics review. The foundation payments would be examined. Grant's custody would no longer remain unsupervised. Court adjourned. My mother didn't come near me. She headed straight for the exit. Dad stayed behind. Madison stood slowly. Is it over? She asked. I closed my laptop. No. But now it's real. She stopped in front of me. I don't know how to fix this. You don't fix 20 years in a hallway, I said. Then what? Start by not pretending. She nodded. Okay. And get a therapist. For you. For the kids. I already did. Good. Dad approached us. Ava. I raised my hand. Not today. He stopped. I'm sorry. I looked at him. For what? Her. Madison. Me. Pick one. He couldn't answer. It had started raining by the time we stepped into the parking lot. Mom was standing beside the black SUV talking on her phone. She hijacked the whole trial, she was saying. Then she saw me and ended the call. Happy now? She asked. I unlocked my car. No. Then why do it? I opened the door, then looked back at her. Because I'm very good at my job. She said, you broke this family. I met her eyes. No. I stopped carrying it alone. 6 months later, the final settlement was signed. Madison got primary custody. Grant accepted financial penalties. Charles retired quietly. My mother's foundation came under investigation. The charity luncheon was canceled. A short newspaper article came out about it. Enough to sting. Not enough to heal. Madison calls me sometimes now. Short calls. Real ones. Lily asks me homework questions. Noah steals markers from my office. Dad sends emails. I ignore most of them. Mom left one final voicemail a month ago. You took everything. I listened to it once. I didn't delete it. I didn't save it either. I just let it sit there. Last Friday I walked through that same courthouse hallway again. Same cold lights. Same bench. Same vending machine. Another family was arguing. Another daughter stood quietly against the wall. I didn't stop. In the parking lot, Madison asked, coffee? Drive-through, I said. He smiled a little. Good. We started walking toward the car. Then she stopped. Ava. Yeah. You were never unwanted. I turned the keys in my hand. Rain tapped softly against the windshield. Maybe not, I said. But they sure paid a lot to act like I was. She didn't say anything. We both got into the car. No hug. No movie ending. Just silence. Manageable silence. And honestly, for me, that was enough. If this story moved you, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support truly means a lot and helps us bring you more powerful stories like this. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end.